Go. Right, so another box opening, but first we've got a bit of showing off to do.
We are currently 19 boxes into our opening. We've opened 5 invocations so far. Of course, you saw the chain lightning in our first video. We've got also a Dark Ritual, a Wrath of God, Pact of Negation, and rather importantly, we have this Attrition. Now, the box we are opening now is going to be the 6th box in a case, and the case has already had this Attrition opened out of it. So we're hoping for another invocation, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. So the invocations I think are pretty nice. We've opened a nice array of them so far. But let's get open. Let's get some packs opened and see what we get.
Brand new box. There you go. So this will be box number 20.
Yep.
See. Oh yeah, hold on. So out of all the stuff that we've seen so far, what are you thinking of Amonkhet as a set?
I think Amonkhet's looking very interesting. And interestingly enough, playing at the pre-release, let's stop for now. But we've opened our first mythic, Amonkhet, Voice of Dissent. Amonkhet's very interesting. It's in a set like Amonkhet, it's just 1 and 2 color cards, and yet Amonkhet is basically a 3 color card. We have a red-green casting cost and a white activation cost. So maybe this is something that is teasing us for Hour of Devastation. Maybe there's more color commitments in Hour of Devastation. After all, we know Nicol Bolas is coming out in Hour of Devastation, so
it would make sense considering we've been given the cycle lance for fixing.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll be seeing Naya, Grixis, Bant, and so on coming back.
It'd be nice to have the 3 color decks appearing again. Which is one of the cards that a lot of people are saying that were created by a dartboard.
Yeah.
Spin the board, see what cards we get.
Just try and figure out how many keywords we can fit on a card.
Yeah. Okay, so pack number 2.
So, let's see what we've got.
Tormenting Voice.
Tormenting Voice is a nice reprint. Of course, we want to keep it in standard when Shadows over Innistrad rotates.
See, Weaver of Currents. You quite like this card, don't you?
I love this card because I love blue-green cards and I love ramping, and Weaver of Currents is both in one little package.
We still have Eldrazi as well.
We still have Eldrazi in standard, yes. So I think Weaver of Currents is fantastic. It might even be really good for Emerge.
And another card.
Now, Vizier of Remedies. If anyone likes paying attention to the market of Magic singles, Devoted Druid, you might know, went from a £1 card to a £5 card the minute this was announced. For those of you who don't know, Devoted Druid is a creature that can tap for green mana, and you could put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. But of course, with Vizier of Remedies in play, you don't actually put the -1/-1 counter on it, so you can just create infinite green mana. Which seems pretty powerful, and these are 2 cards that fit very, very nicely into a couple of modern decks that we can make use of that green mana with.
Especially with Coco still in the format.
Yeah,
always good.
I've seen some people speculate maybe we throw Duskwatch Recruiter into that deck so that we can we've got something to use our green mana on. We can draw every creature from our deck.
Maybe Walking Ballista. Now we've got that.
Yeah, also Walking Ballista.
And infinite Walking Ballista sounds pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, and a rare in a pack.
Prepare to fight. I remember everyone looking at this card and thinking, why is it a rare? It looks so much like an uncommon. And I suppose that's true, but this is a very powerful card.
Very.
Like, if you cast both halves of this in one turn, then I don't see how you're losing a game. If you make your creature bigger with lifelink, you have it fight something else. Imagine this was Samut. Like, put this on Samut. It's in the same colors. Like, make it a 5/6. Give it lifelink. It already has double strike and vigilance and haste. Make it fight something else, so you're going to gain 5 life from the fight.
Yep.
And if it attacks, you're going to gain 10 life when it connects.
It's a 15-point life swing.
So
plus a removal spell.
Yeah. Prepare to Fight seems very powerful. I'm not sure if it will see a lot of play in standard, but if you ever open it in a draft, just take it. It's very powerful.
Okay, pack number 3.
Also worth noting, actually, that this is probably one of the few Aftermath cards, one of the few multicolored Aftermath cards that you would probably just play if you were white and not green. Like, just ignore the fight part. Prepare is a very good card by itself.
Sacred Cat.
Sacred Cat.
Everyone's favourite.
Scaredy Cat.
Scaredy Cat.
I want to go back to this. Trial of Knowledge. This card is really, really good. This was previewed on the very first day of spoiler season. I immediately shared it on my Facebook page and said it was incredible, and I still believe this is incredible. I think of all the trials, like this and the red trial are the ones you really want to be getting. They are the best ones to reuse. And if anyone has ever played any old formats or chaos drafts or anything like that, you might be aware of Sift, which is just this effect on a sorcery, and that card was already very powerful. So I think this is going to be great in draft as well.
Especially since blue seems to have a good sort of control.
Yeah, blue seems like it's gotten a lot of love in this set, which it hasn't had for quite a while. So I think that's really nice.
Rare. Everyone's favorite Minotaur.
Yes. We have to raise the question, I suppose, like why was this not printed in Theros? Like Theros was the first set to focus on Minotaurs as a tribe. We didn't get a legendary creature unless you count Mogus, Mogus of the Slaughter, Mogus God of Slaughter even. But Mogus is not a Minotaur, unfortunately. He just looks like one. The Neheb actually is a Minotaur, so that's pretty good.
Maybe we get another Minotaur themed tribal in our Hour of Devastation.
Yeah.
Doesn't really fit in with the Egyptian theme, but
it doesn't really. I think they had to borrow some kind of red and black creature type from somewhere else. And or maybe there were Minotaurs in ancient Egypt. And I just don't know.
maybe they all died out and we don't know.
Yeah. We can only guess.
This pack cartouche
goes really nice with our trial of knowledge.
Just love the word.
Yeah.
Cartouche. Wayward Servant, another zombie. Zombie tribal seems to be a thing that they're really pushing at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm hard pressed to see it in standard, but I think stands a chance in standard definitely. Like there's enough pieces. Wayward Servant's actually a very good version for that. Like Zombies has always struggled with getting all of the pieces that it needs for a proper deck. When it was around in Innistrad, we had a great 1-drop in Gravecrawler, we had a great 3-drop in Geralt's Messenger. Sure. We had no 2-drops whatsoever. Like the best 2-drop we had access to was Highborn Ghoul, which is just a 2-mana 2/1 with Intimidate.
And they even print cards like Rooftop Storm.
Yeah, and so I think I think having a great 2-drop in standard is pretty good for Zombies. We also have Relentless Dead from back in Shadows over Innistrad. So I think this might be a chance for Zombies to shine. It's like or to not shine given that they're dead. But
I certainly think if not competitive, a lot of people will turn up to FLM with Zombie tribal decks.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to be one of those decks.
It's also worth noting that because this is an uncommon, this seems like a great draft card.
Absolutely.
Like Black-White Zombies seems like a really, really strong draft archetype. Wayward Servant's probably one of the key pieces for that. There's also Lord of the Accursed at uncommon, which
it's a fairly good card.
Yeah. So I think if you want to build around zombies in a draft, just open Wayward Servant and just go deep.
And a rare?
One
of your favourite cards out of the set.
I love this card. I don't like the way it's worded, but I love it. I like how I'm probably going to be playing this a fair bit. I want to play one of these on turn 4 and one of these on turn 5, so I just get both of the effects every turn.
The dream.
Yeah. So if anyone opens any foils and brings them to our FNMs, I want them.
Nudge, nudge. Let's play.
Let's get this trial out of here. This isn't a rare.
Yeah. That's a good card.
Yes. Magnus Ray reprint.
Mighty Leap.
Yeah. I'm going to lose that so much in draft. This is probably my favorite card in the set. Full stop. Like, I've been waiting for a good 2-mana counterspell in standard for a very long time, and I think Essence Scatter is just really is. Every time Essence Scatter does not get printed in, like it hasn't been printed in a core set for a while, I just cry a little inside because Negate gets printed in every block, and Essence Scatter's got no love, and it's significantly better. But I think it's an important piece for a control deck to have.
Plus, now with the gods around, it's one of the very few ways to get rid of them.
Yes, that's true. Especially also in draft, like that was one of the biggest takeaways from the draft format. The gods are very hard to beat, and they're very hard to get off the table. Essence Scatter is a good way to prevent them altogether. So.
Plus, every standard format this card has been printed in has been played.
Yes. I can't remember a single standard format where the card hasn't been played.
Yeah.
I even played the card in Pauper. Like, it's very strong.
Now it's got a nice little ass.
Yes. Let's see what we've got.
Bontu's Monument. That's quite exciting.
I'm very unimpressed with the monuments myself. I think Oketra's Monument's pretty good because you make a 1/1 Vigilance creature token every time you cast a creature spell. I think that's pretty strong. Like White wants to go wide, but doesn't really have a lot of ways to go wide. So Oketra's Monument actually gives you a really good way of doing that and getting lots of bodies onto the table. But the other, like, if you think about when you're drafting, you want a full card's worth of value out of your card, and none of the monuments actually give you any cards worth of value. And Bonte's Monument drains them every time you cast a creature spell. It doesn't even trigger when you cast a regular spell. It also only makes your black creatures cost less. Like it seems very restrictive, and I don't think it's very good.
I mean, it's certainly an EDH card at best.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I think EDH Commander, like if you really want cards like this in your decks. If you're a mono black deck, especially something that makes a lot of your spells cost one less, you'll definitely get your cards worth of value out of it.
Especially if you're slightly new to the format and can't get your hands on cards like Jet Medallion. It's probably a good substitution.
I think this is a perfectly reasonable Jet Medallion.
Yep. And a rare.
There's Lord of the Accursed, as we said before.
Yep.
And then Vizier of Many Faces. Vizier is pretty good. Embalm and the creature flashback, and I like how when flashback comes around, flashback, of course, they print a lot of good spells with flashback, and we've never really had a proper creature flashback, so they're printing lots of classic creature types with flashback, and Vizier is just your classic clone.
It's certainly one that R&D got to have a little fun with.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see what we get now.
Yep. It's going for another expedition. We have a foil.
Oh,
Heart
Pierce
Manticore.
Fling on a stick.
Fling on a stick with flashback.
With flashback.
Flashback.
I love this card. I really do.
And a foil.
I've yet to see it played, but I really want to see it.
Certainly good in pre-release. Although a lot of people are enjoying playing it in pre-release.
Plus, if you have nothing to fling, a 4-mana 4/3 with flashback is pretty strong.
Yep. 10 mana to deal 8. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Can it sacrifice itself? Oh, I can only sacrifice another creature.
Is it another creature?
Oh, it's disappointing. See.
Oh god.
Our first. No, not our first Mythic Rare, but our first god. Oketra. Oketra definitely seems powerful. She's very similar to Heliod.
Very similar to Heliod.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a 4-mana creature that even if she doesn't attack or block, she can sit in play and pay 4 to make a 1/1 every turn. Like, you're never going to run out of value with her, and as long as she stays in play, you're probably winning a game.
And eventually she becomes a 3/6.
Yeah, and double strike.
Double strike,
very useful.
Double strike, indestructible as well.
Yes.
Very useful.
Very important to know it's indestructible.
Another dartboard card.
Yeah. There we go. Ooh.
Heaven to Earth.
It's one of my favourite Aftermath cards, I think. Heaven to Earth seems really strong. Like, there's nothing. I mean, there's not a lot to say.
Yeah.
No, it's a very straightforward card. But it just seems very powerful. It seems very flexible as well.
It's just a combination of two old cards that we all love playing.
What's worth noting is that if you put it in your like green-red mid-range deck and you come across a deck with no flyers, but you really want to get it out of your hand, just cast it for 1 mana. You don't need to cast it for anything. For a great deal, so you can cast Heaven for 1 mana, and then you've got access to Earth straight away. Absolutely. Seems quite strong.
So it basically becomes a red, and green, an X.
Yeah, which is perfectly reasonable. Like Savage Twister was always a good card. So.
Hey, next pack.
Yep. Let's see.
Harvest Season. This card certainly has got a lot of people talking.
I don't think this card is very good. I think by the time you're going to have enough tapped creatures in play for you to get a good amount of value out of it, you probably don't need any more lands. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think if you're casting this on turn 4 or 5, then you're not getting the advantage out of it. Like, if you want to play a ramp spell for 3 mana, you want to play it on turn 3, get some good value out of it, play a 5-drop on turn 4, and this doesn't really do it.
Especially since recently we've had stand forms just saying this is Pilgrimage in it.
Yeah.
Which was a very good card.
Yeah, and there's also the blue-green Aftermath card in the set, Spring to Mind. I think that card's very strong as well. Like, I think Harvest Season is probably one to relegate to your commander binders.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly a good card in Commander. Omnath players.
Certainly seems very strong in Commander. You can get potentially 6-7 lands off it for 3 mana, which is actually very good in Commander. I just don't think that Standard or Modern will be interesting.
Absolutely. Some more zombies.
Yep.
See, cats and zombies.
Yes.
Ooh.
My brother built cats and zombies EDH decks, and he really likes these. So, Hapatra. Hapatra's a very interesting card. I've never known what to make of her, but she seems so good. Every time you make a -1/-1 counter, making a 1/1 death touch creature. Like, it's almost like when you put a counter on something, draw a Doom Blade to your hand. Like
that seems very good. Yeah.
I had one of these in one of my pre-release decks. Unfortunately, I never cast her. Like I just never drew her, which is very disappointing. But she seems incredibly powerful. So
and everyone's favorite card,
yes.
Matt's card.
What is there to say about this? I mean, we've already talked about Trial of Knowledge. Trial of Zeal is just as good.
It's 3 mana, deal 3, advance per cartouche. The problem with it.
Also worth noting that this might be slightly better than Oath of Chandra in Standard, if you want to be flickering with Felidar Guardian, because this can also hit players. So should that be a thing, you can.
I mean,
also do that.
With the trial cards, it's always good to look at how playable the cartouche themselves are.
Yeah.
I mean, a 3 mana deal 3 damage is still fairly good at its own without needing cartouches.
Yep.
Next pack, Fling.
Oh, I can already see our rare, and I want to talk about it. Oh, here we go.
It's a Liliana.
It's a Liliana. Oh, Liliana's great.
This card's so good.
Yeah. I mean, Liliana's very tricky to judge. Like, she's 5 mana. Like, a lot of the good planeswalkers these days are 3 or 4. But
Gideon.
But Liliana seems very, very powerful. Like, I think I've been comparing her to Obnixilis Reignited, and Obnixilis has seen a lot of play in Standard. You know, usually as a 1 or a 2 of in black mid-range decks or control decks, and I think Liliana maybe just as good or maybe a little bit better. Like, the +1 make a 2/2 and put cards into your graveyard that maybe have other uses like Aftermath cards or Embalm cards. Seems very strong.
Her playability with Liliana Last Hope in the format, maybe though.
Very possibly, but Liliana Last Hope has been dwindling a bit, and Death's Majesty actually is maybe better for control decks. Like -3 reanimating a Torrential Gearhulk seems quite strong.
Good, yeah.
So you get a Torrential Gearhulk and a Liliana out of your deal, and you get to flashback an instance as well.
First spell's always good.
Yeah, I think she's very good.
Okay, next pack.
Ooh.
Cycle Land.
I think one thing. I mean, you spoke a lot about cycling lands in the first video, but I think one thing that's worth noting is Shelter Thicket's probably the best one.
Yes.
In Modern and probably not Legacy, but in Modern,
a deck that we both play.
Yeah. In Modern, the deck that there are multiple decks that will want the red-green cycler in particular. There's obviously red-green Titan Shift. There's also any Life from the Loam based deck that uses these cards will probably be red-green.
Life from the Loam looks like it's going to be quite a sweet deck to play.
If anyone's wondering why the price spiked recently, this is why.
This card is the whole cycle is probably the reason.
Yeah. I think we've got a foil.
Approach the Second Sun.
Approach the Second Sun.
Foil.
Ooh.
Foil cycle.
Very nice.
Okay, so Approach the Second Sun is a very interesting card.
Yes. I mean, 7 mana sorceries that say win the game are probably something to look at twice.
Yeah. Is it more like a 14 mana sorcery though? Having to cast it twice?
Very possibly. It's worth noting that when it gains you 7 life and goes back into your deck, then it's easier to it shouldn't take you too long to find it. You can go 5 cards deep into your deck with a number of cards in the format.
Absolutely. If only we had dig through time.
Yes.
Go 7 cards short on the next turn.
I think I will say, I probably won't be looking at this card. I'll be waiting for other people to show me how good it is, because I think it is good, but I don't think I'm good enough to play it.
It was one of those cards that I saw as a spoiler. I was like, I don't want to try and break it because it's either going to be amazing,
yes,
or like mediocre. So I want other people to break it.
Yeah.
And there is certainly potential for it to be broken.
I think someone could very well win a GP with
Absolutely.
this. If someone wins a Pro Tour with this, then I'll love it.
Yeah, so there's going to be someone trying it at the Pro Tour.
Yeah,
it's one of those cards.
Keep an eye out for people like Willie Adel at the Pro Tour. They'll do it. There we go.
Mouth to feed.
Hippo tokens.
We were talking about this one earlier.
Yes. I love this card. I love all the green cards. So surprise, surprise. I like green, and therefore I love the green cards. It's a green draw spell, which we haven't seen for a very long time. Mouth is below what we expect from a 3 mana card these days. But when you can flash it back and draw like 2 or 3 cards, that seems very, very strong.
I mean, it's a 3 mana 3/3. Seems good.
It's kind of like, it's almost like it's very similar to Call the Herd.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Call the Herd was a monster in Standard the first time it was around anyway. And I think this card's it's got potential. I think a mid-range deck will really want it. The ability to flashback and draw 2 cards, I think, is really strong.
I mean, especially since we've got a green god that like rewards us for playing more creatures.
Absolutely.
So there's certainly a room for it in standard.
Yeah.
Next pack. Commons.
Another trial.
Commit to memory.
We have Time Twister back in standard, or Time Reversal even.
It's always an interesting card.
Yeah. I don't know how to. I mean, one could view this as a 4-mana hard counter, given that you can put it into your opponent's library and then you can Time Twister it away.
10 mana to do so, though.
Yeah, but it is 10 mana to do so. I have a feeling this card will not. I'm not sure. I think the card's very powerful. I think, once again, Commander players definitely play this card. It looks so sweet.
This is going in quite a few of my Commander decks.
Yep.
So.
I think that the ability to have a Time Twister again in standard is really sweet. And
absolutely.
I look forward to casting it, but I'm not sure. I definitely want to try 1 at the very least.
I mean, even some sort of deck where you can discard it, just cast it, just twist it. Seems fairly good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next pack. Dustador.
Now here's an aftermath. Here's an aftermath card and a half. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have spoken at length about this card, and it's conditional wrath, but you don't expect a proper wrath for 4 mana these days. But you also get the upside of casting Dawn later. Like, if you are a low curve aggro deck, for example, this is actually a card you might want.
I mean, anyone who remembers Rally the Ancestors.
Yes.
Always a good card.
I mean, yeah, a conditional wrath that probably doesn't hit any of your creatures and then brings all of your creatures back afterwards. This seems
this seems very good. Yeah, especially since when you're hitting 4/5 mana, a lot of aggro decks do tend to slow down and get fairly screwed by the mid-range decks. So being able to stop what the mid-range decks wants to do and go through seems quite good.
Doesn't kill gods though. That's annoying.
Doesn't kill gods. Cat.
We have our first ever Cat Tribal Lord. It took so long to print this. Ooh, and a foil Hepatria.
That's very nice.
Ooh. I bet someone will be wanting to buy this for a commander deck. If you want to make a commander based around -1/-1 counters, this is probably the best one you're going to get.
Absolutely. Get the Infect cards out as well.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean...
Cat Tribal.
Cat Tribal seems good. 5 mana for 7/7 with lifelink. I can't think of much better than that.
Unfortunately, they didn't print it back in like 3rd ed where it said Lord on it.
Yeah. It should have the Lord creature type. I think that's a flavor fail.
It should. Another
one straight after.
And a foil swamp.
Yep.
Oh, not much to talk about in that pack.
Oh well. Let's see if we can open another mythic.
Absolutely. Or an invocation.
Or an invocation, obviously. Here's hoping for a forcible. Ooh.
Never to return.
I like how this is a very trolly name. You know, because Hero's Downfall was so good, and obviously it means that this is just showing it's never to return, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Hero's Downfall was such a good card when it's in standard.
It was so good, yeah. And you know, we're never going to get an instant like that, and in fact, we're going to get never instead. So,
yep. I think as a sorcery, it's more fair. Definitely.
It's definitely more fair, yeah. But for three mana of sorcery, like Ruinous Path has seen a good amount of play. I think this is probably better than Ruinous Path. It's like Ruinous Path is 7 mana to make a 4/4 or a 3/3. So it's Awaken 4, I think.
It's Awaken 4, yeah.
So it's 7 mana to make a 4/4 and destroy a creature and a planeswalker. This is very similar. This is 7 mana to make a 2/2 and destroy a creature or planeswalker. But of course, you get the ability that you can split up that 7 mana into a 3 and a 4. You know, funnily enough, in Magic, 7 is not equal to 3 plus 4.
No.
3 plus 4 is much better than 7.
With Return though, it's a effect that we've had on like 1 mana instants in the past.
Yeah.
So I think this card is certainly going to get played for its first effect. It's a murder that destroys a planeswalker. It's Hero's Downfall, but sorcery speed.
But naturally, you're also going to randomly get a 2/2 later in the game.
Absolutely.
Which seems, you know,
quite
I like getting things for free.
Yep.
What do we get?
Archfiend. It's a really sweet card.
If anyone's interested in buying any booster boxes, you get a free one of these every time you do if you come along and collect it in the store. So that's worth bearing in mind. Archfiend's pretty strong as well. I mean, build your own Wrath. Build your own Black Sun Zenith.
I mean, cycling, drawing cards, Black Sun Zenith.
Yeah. This card seems really good.
And it just hits your opponent as well.
Yeah, and you can cycle it. You can be mana screwed and it's not dead in your hand. You can just draw another card.
I'm so glad they brought the cycle mechanic back. Such a good mechanic.
I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't bring out Astral Slide again, but this is so good as well. This is perfectly good as a replacement for Astral Slide.
Glory Band Initiate.
I like this card.
It seems sweet.
I like 2 mana 4/4s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I like 2 mana 4/4s. It's just a shame that this one dies to Walking Ballista, but it's
or just anything.
Well, I think it's fine. I think 2 mana 4/4 lifelink is very strong, and I think these sorts of decks, like white aggressive decks, really need 2-drops, and I think this is a good one.
I mean, it seems to be that there will be a white-red sort of aggro creature deck.
I think I'm personally looking at building a white-red, maybe a tokens based deck. Like use a Servo Exhibition from Kaladesh, and there's a red-white multicolor creature in the set that gives +1/+0 to all of your guys when it attacks. I mean, it's just a 2-drop.
Especially with Combat Celebrant in this format.
Yeah,
very good card.
I think there's so many things you can do. I think Exert is actually also very powerful. It makes these.
Exert's a very good mechanic.
Yeah.
Another cycle land.
Sweet. It's cycling land number 3.
Always good for mana leak.
Yep.
Mini cycle lands. Hopefully we'll get another mythic.
Yep.
Because the mythic ratios that we've seen so far in boxes have either been 3 or 5.
It should be around about 5. So I'm hoping for more.
Granted, it was even Mind Sensor.
We opened an uncommon.
3 in an invocation. We opened an uncommon, a Future Sight uncommon.
Except it happens to have this gold symbol on it. Even Mind Sense is great. If anyone's ever played Modern and played against this card, then you already probably hate it, or you've played with it and you love it. And I've been on both halves, on both sides of this argument, and the card is excellent. The card will still be excellent in 4 years. I would hazard a guess.
I mean,
this seems incredible.
Some of the people who've played our FNMs have seen me get 2 Primeval Titans through this card, and still got there. It was an interesting game.
Yeah, worth noting that a lot of people were upset when this did not get reprinted in Modern Masters 2017, and clearly this is why it didn't get reprinted in that set. So,
Drake Haven,
probably the most talked about card in the entire set. Drake Haven, apart from Gideon, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Like, Drake Haven seems like insane.
So much potential.
The first time I see this in a draft, I'm almost going to jump for joy. I just want to slam this.
You splash blue for this card, at least.
Oh yeah. I just want to be whatever deck can play Drake Haven.
3 mana.
It's so good.
Draw a card.
Yeah.
Discard a card. Draw a card. Make a 2/2.
Also worth noting this because it triggers off discards. You can also play it with cards like Call the Bloodline in Shadows of Innistrad. You can play it with the zombies that bring themselves back, like Stitchwing Scarab and what's the other one? Advanced Stitchwing.
Absolutely.
So this card seems it's got so many applications. I love it. Great.
Champion of Renus. This card was quite good. It got quite a showing when
it does lets you cheat on a fair bit of mana. Like, I think a lot of people look at this card and think, I could drop an Ulamog in. Obviously that's quite strong, but you can also just drop a 5-drop in or a 6-drop and you're cheating yourself some mana.
Absolutely.
So it seems really good.
Okay, next pack.
Yep.
Still yet to have it.
There we go. Sandworm Convergence. Now you called this junk, and I think you're wrong. I love this card.
I did call this card junk.
This is like Form of the Worm.
I've reread it since,
yes.
and I think that it is quite a funny card. And
yes,
certainly in Limited, where you're making a 5/5 every turn.
In Limited in particular, like the green has a very good ramp strategy in this set. So there's a lot of good ramp spells. And if you ever land this, you not only do you deal with the biggest thing that green has a problem with, which is flyers, but you make a 5/5 every turn. If you've ever resolved a Kiora emblem, you know how good that sort of a thing is.
Absolutely.
This card seems really strong.
These are 5/5s, not 8/8.
Yes. But 5/5s are just as good.
5/5s are very good.
There's very little difference between a 5/5 token every turn and an 8/8 token every turn.
Glory Bringer. Now this card has had a bit of hype.
Yes.
It's holding a good price in the market at the moment.
Yep. It's very good with always watching, because of course if you give your exert creature vigilance, then you can still exert it, but it won't untap next turn, of course, but it's never tapped to begin with, so
absolutely
you don't have any downside to exert. And Glory Bringer is just Oh, I had to play against this at the pre-release. It was not good. No, it was good. It wasn't good for me because I wasn't playing it.
I mean, shout out to Michael Glover who got this and a combat celebrant to go off in the same time. I mean, that's fairly good in limited correct.
Yes, it is very good. I think this will make a big splash in Constructed as well. Worth noting, it's a really good trump to Gideon.
Yeah.
Gideon ally of Zendikar, that is, because you can use the trigger to kill the token that it makes and then kill Gideon itself, which is absurd.
Next one. Another cycle land.
Number 4.
We've had one of these, except for the green-white one. Yeah. So one was
well, we know what we have to open in the next few packs then.
Green-white cycle land.
Yes.
Or an invocation. I would be very happy to open the second invocation on stream.
Absolutely.
Next one.
Oh. Well,
close.
Number 5, but it's the wrong one.
No, it's everywhere.
Well, it's the right one because it's a cycling land.
It's a cycle land.
Worth noting in general, just the cycling lands are great. I don't need to say anything else. They're just very, very
Buy
good.
your cycle lands.
Just buy your cycling lands. Make sure you have 4 of all of them.
Another glory band initiate. Ooh. A foil.
This is the best thing we've opened so far. Easy. Right.
Absolutely.
These full arts are so pretty.
They are. Anyone who has had them from the preview weekend,
from the open house.
The open house, will know that they are very pretty. They are the same as the open house ones, aren't they?
Yes.
Yep.
There's not even a special set symbol or anything on the open house ones. These are exactly the same.
Absolutely. They're just so pretty.
Yeah.
We're finding one in every 54-ish spot.
Something
packs?
like that. I opened my first case and I got 4. I got one of each except a forest.
So far, one of the cases I'm in, three boxes in, and I found 2. So
yeah,
it's always good. They're certainly a lot rarer than the Battle for Zendikar.
Absolutely. It's Hemet. It's an interesting card. Very interesting. I mean, 2 mana 2/2 is never bad. Hard to know what to say about it, but it seems that when you embalm it, it's 5 mana for a 3/3 with unblockable. That's not the worst.
Fairly good. I mean, it's a creature that wants to play with creature strategies in colours that aren't normally creature strategies. So
I can imagine that we'll be losing lots of games to this if you imagine this in an embalm deck in limited, and your opponent has an embalm creature, let's say a 4/4 embalm creature. Yeah. You're trying to hold it back, and then all of a sudden they go play Temet. It's now a 5/5 unblockable. You
Absolutely,
die. Yeah. I think this is not a real 2/2. You're not going to play this on turn 2 very many times. But if you play on turn 8 and just give something unblockability out of nowhere,
it's kind of like
it seems insane.
It's a sorcery speed, consistent combat trick.
Yes.
Certainly has room.
Yeah.
To be good.
Exactly.
Whether or not we can find a space for it. Prowling.
Way. Kitty snack.
The kitty snack. Okay, so the internet went absolutely crazy when this was revealed.
Yes. And they were right to do so.
It's a 3 mana 4/3 that can't be countered, and creature spells you control also can't be countered.
I love how much better this is than Vexing Shusha.
Yes, absolutely.
Vexing Shusha's seen a lot of play over the days.
Granted, Vexing Shusha is 2 mana.
True, and it is also mono red.
It is
potentially.
Or mono green.
Well, yeah.
Mono green here as well.
But I think this fits a better spot on your curve where you want this sort of effect to happen.
This kind of card reminds me back to the old green decks in Theros block, where you just kind of played value green creatures, like Boonsater and Arbor Colossus.
Exactly. I think it's worth noting that this is we might see a resurgence of that deck actually.
Absolutely.
Red green monsters was a big thing back in standard with when we had Stormbreath Dragon and whatever.
Now we've got Summit and
we now have Summit. We now have a replacement for Stormbreath Dragon and Glorybringer.
We have a god.
We also have the green god. We have the red god as well. I think we have Serpapard as well. Serpapard actually turns on Ronus as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think there's a lot going on in that deck, and I'm definitely going to explore that.
Absolutely, especially since you're a fan of red-green strategies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do love some red-green cards.
If there's a red-green in format, Andy will play it.
Absolutely. Although, funnily enough, I did not play red-green monsters in standard.
Now this is my favorite.
There we go.
As foretold.
Everybody loves casting 0 mana Ancestral Recalls and
Absolutely.
0 mana Balances, and as foretold lets you do that.
0 mana Cryptic Commands.
Yes. for those of you who don't know how this card works, you can. It's like an Aether Vial for spells. You can cast free spells from your hand every turn. You just have to increase the number of counters on it each turn, and you cast bigger and bigger spells each time you do that. The first time you play it, you can cast 0 mana spells, and there aren't very many good ones of those. But
Ancestral Vision.
turns out Ancestral Vision is a 0 mana spell, and so is Restore Balance and Wheel of Fate.
Yep, that whole cycle from there.
Yep. Lotus Bloom, if you fancy casting some Black Lotuses in Modern. As Foretold seems quite strong.
I think
it's interesting to know if that deck will be able to function without As Foretold. Like, if you don't draw the As Foretold, then how good is the deck without it?
Absolutely.
But I think this has got so much potential. I love it.
Certainly in Modern, there has been speculation about like a Grixis control deck, similar to the strategies we've been seeing at the moment with
absolutely.
Ancestral and Cryptic.
Because the deck already plays a lot of 1-drops, and it's fairly mana hungry. So being even when you put 1-time counter on this, if you can cast a 1-drop in your opponent's turn for 0 mana, that's pretty strong.
I mean, it's one of those one of these cards that kind of wants me to play Eternal Command again.
Yes.
Because being able to
was a good deck.
being able to cast a free Crypt Command and just get it back with Eternal Witness.
I wonder if it's worth proliferating the counters onto it.
I don't think it is. It depends. It depends how quick you want to be with your.
Are we not going to play any Skyship Plunderers and Thrumming Birds?
I think that we could see that being reasonable.
Yeah. Might be a little bit too deep, but it seems fun.
And we've got a Harsh Mentor.
Ooh.
Again, one of those cards that, especially in Modern.
Yes, definitely in Modern. Worth noting that Eidolon of the Great Rebel is a card. But some people are saying that Eidolon is better, some people are saying Harsh Mentor is better. I think it's worth just noting that both exist. And
I can certainly see both being in burn decks, whether or not they're both in the main 60 cards.
I could definitely see like starting out with say 2 of these over 2 of the worst burn spells, like over 2 Skullcracks or 2 Searing Blazes. Like these cards were kind of borderline in the deck in the first place.
I could definitely see this being at least a sideboardable card, and then
absolutely
bring it in, switch Nightfall, your Eidolons, or
Also, the red-white aggressive deck we were talking about before, it seems good as a 2-drop.
Yeah,
like you'll get some free damage out of it, and it's a sizable 2-drop.
Especially since people seem to want to play Evolving Wilds.
Absolutely.
Evolving Wilds that shocks you. It's a fairly good card, right?
Also shocks on cycling, so that's quite good.
It does.
Here's the other red card.
See, this card had a lot of speculation for.
Yeah, Monastery Slow Spear.
Monastery Slow Spear. It's how good is it though? It's something that people can't seem to decide on.
What I would say is that Monastery Slow Spear is of course better. Haste is much more relevant on a red 1-drop than the extra text you get off Soulscar Mage here, but the haste is not so relevant in Standard.
Absolutely.
It's much more relevant in Legacy and Modern. So I don't think Soulscar Mage is that good for Legacy and Modern, but I think it will be as good as Monastery Slow Spear was in Standard, because the haste is not very relevant, and in fact this ability is much more relevant in Standard.
Especially since Standard seems to carry a big -1/-1 counter theme for it.
Yes.
I mean, bolting your own dude to
absolutely
get some counters.
It's especially fun if your opponent's still playing Winding Constrictor, because Winding Constrictor will double the counters that you put on, so that's quite good.
That's true, yeah. That might be why it's been printed like that.
Definitely.
Comment like that. Okay, last pack.
Alright, come on. Invocation. We need an Invocation. I think this has been a good box so far.
It's been a fairly good box.
Yeah.
Certainly above average.
Yes.
Hazard's Favour.
This is a weird card.
This is a very strange card.
This is very, very strange. But, I don't know. It seems like it's got some potential. I would not say take this in draft, but I think that a standard deck probably exists with this card. It seems like it might be quite good.
Absolutely. I mean, the first effect on it, giving one of your leads haste and +2 +0, very good. The sacrificing creature, is there a space for Embalm maybe? So
maybe something like Doom Dissenter, which sacrifices itself. Well, you want to kill it anyway because you want to be getting a trigger from it.
Absolutely. Or there's the 3-mana 4/4 worm of.
If anyone has something like a Black-Red Sacrifices deck, then this also is very good in Black-Red Sacrifices.
Absolutely.
So yeah, seems good.
So overall, what have we had out in this box?
So we've had 4 Mythic Rares. We've had As Foretold, Liliana, Oketra, and Samut.
We've had a foil full art.
Obviously, the best thing we've opened.
2 foil rares, which is something that we don't
Pretty
really
above.
see. Yeah.
It's pretty above rate. I think what's also worth pointing out how many
Cycle lands that we got.
how many cycling lands we got. Cycling lands are really good.
I mean,
So we got 4 of these plus the foil.
foil. I mean, that seems to be a fair
Oh, yeah,
rate
definitely.
to get them.
So yeah.
Fairly good box.
So I think that's it. That's it from us. If you liked what you saw, let us know. We'll try to make more of it. If you want to give us any feedback, also we'd like to hear that from you. And yeah, let us know what you pulled as well. We'd love to see it. We always love to talk about Magic. So tell us what you opened, and I suppose last thing of the stream.
Bit more of a show off.
We'll show off these again.
Yep. So we're quite looking forward to seeing what you guys can brew up for F&M as well.
Yep.
So
if you guys are going to come to F&M, then remember that this week is Standard and Modern, and we have Draft on as well. So if you want to get your hands on some Amonkhet cards, we'll be drafting them. And yeah, we'd love to see you there. So
thanks for watching.
guys.